When you think of meetings, what comes to mind? Do you think of them as productive opportunities for your team? Do you dread them? Or is it somewhere in between? Unfortunately, most of us have experienced some pretty bad meetings. If we were lucky, those bad experiences did not come when we were at the helm. In this lead talk, we will share some tips with you on how to make sure the meetings you lead are productive, successful, and beneficial to your team. When you lead a meeting, it is an opportunity for you to showcase your management skills. Many aspects of management are on display through the window of a meeting, such as planning and organizational skills, visionary skills, interpersonal skills, communication skills, facilitation skills, and decision-making skills. Countless meetings take place every day that have no agenda, no structure, no process, no results, no actions, and basically no point. So how can we make sure that that doesn't happen to us? For starters, we need to consider the basics of any effective meeting. There are 3 key considerations that need to be addressed when planning your meetings. First of all, the purpose. What is the purpose of the meeting? Be sure to not only clearly define the purpose of the meeting, but also to communicate this out to all attendees. Studies have shown that 30 to 50% of all meetings fail because of the lack of definition and purpose of the meeting. Be sure to also consider, what is the purpose of each agenda item? Is it something to discuss, or is it simply informational? The next thing that should be considered is the process. Process is the how of the meeting. How do you want this meeting to proceed? Who is going to facilitate? How do you want the meeting to be run? How do you want to end the meeting? Make sure to give the attendees an idea in advance of the meeting of how they will be expected to contribute during the meeting. And finally, the progress. If you have clearly defined both your purpose and your process, maintaining progress through the proper execution of your meeting should ensure a successful outcome. Are you hitting the agenda items? Is everyone being heard? Are you making decisions and creating action items? So now that we've gone over the key elements that make up a successful meeting, purpose, process, and progress, let's talk about the actions that we need to take to achieve our desired end result. For your strategic meetings, you will want to prepare an agenda prior to the meeting. The agenda should include the topics to be presented or discussed, what type of outcomes you anticipate for each agenda item, who should take the lead for each of the items, and an estimate of the time that should be allotted for each topic. Don't forget to distribute this ahead of time. This will help your attendees know what to expect and to be properly prepared for your meeting. You are also going to want to identify who is going to take on what roles in your meeting. For instance, who is going to facilitate? If you are brainstorming, who's going to organize the ideas? Who is going to keep track of progress of your meeting? And who will you have taking notes? As the leader, you may choose to take on one or more of these roles, but don't feel like you have to take on them all. Consider which ones could be effectively delegated to other attendees. The last 10 minutes of your meeting are important for making sure that everyone knows what the final outcomes were. Use those final minutes of your meeting to reiterate what decisions were made, what the next steps are, and who is going to do what when. Taking thorough notes during your meetings will ensure that you don't miss any of the key decisions that were made or tasks that were assigned. When taking meeting notes, you may find it helpful to use a format similar to that of your meeting agenda. The topic list should be the same as the topics on the agenda. Your meeting agenda recorded the anticipated outcome of each item. Your notes will record the actual outcome for each item as it is discussed. If there are tasks assigned to move an item forward, record who will be responsible for them. And then finally, record any deadlines that were set for the tasks that were assigned. In his book, Death by Meeting, best-selling author and organizational health guru Patrick Lencioni introduces the concept of meeting stew, where we take every possible topic and throw it into one bucket in one meeting. We mix it all together and we wonder why it doesn't turn out so good. Strategic issues, administrative issues, long-range planning, brainstorming. Lencioni affirms that the human brain is not meant to process so many disparate topics in one sitting. He suggests the 4 meetings method to increase the effectiveness and enjoyment of your meetings. The 4 types of meetings in his method are the daily check-in, the weekly tactical, the monthly strategic, and the quarterly offsite. The daily check-in is simply a 5 or 10-minute meeting for the team to get together and share daily schedules and activities. It can be helpful for the quick resolution of minor issues. For this type of meeting, Lencioni recommends standing rather than sitting, keeping it administrative, and not canceling, even when not everyone can be there. The weekly tactical meeting should be approximately 45 to 90 minutes in length. The purpose of this type of meeting is to review weekly activities and metrics and to resolve tactical obstacles and issues. Lencioni recommends discussing tactical items only and postponing strategic discussions for the monthly strategic or quarterly offsite meetings. The monthly strategic meeting will typically be 2 to 4 hours in length. During this meeting, your team should discuss issues that will affect your long-term success. Discussions should be limited to 1 or 2 topics which have been researched and prepared before the meeting. The team should be encouraged to engage in productive conflict as they analyze, debate, and decide critical issues that can have a big impact on the organization. And finally, the quarterly offsite meeting. A typical duration for this type of meeting is 1 to 2 days. The goal of the quarterly offsite is to review strategy, the competitive landscape, industry trends, key personnel, team development, and anything else that has a long-term impact on the success of the company. Tips for a successful quarterly offsite include limiting social activities and focusing on work, not overburdening the schedule, and actually getting off-site. This will help your team to take a step back from the business and gain a fresh perspective. We hope that you enjoyed this lead talk on meetings. For more lead talks and other tips for leading well, be sure to visit our knowledge base at www.bishophouse.com.